Have you noticed how these days everything gets politicised? When I was at uni, there was a small radical group that saw everything through the prism of politics, but now these sorts of people and that way of thinking have seeped well beyond the campus, into business, our school system, and almost every aspect of Australian life, including, as we've seen over the past few weeks, firefighting, which is now contaminated by the politics of climate change, and today, corporate governance, which is now also being contaminated by shareholder activism. Katy Page, the CEO of Harvey Norman, is one of the most successful business leaders in this country. Not one of the most successful female business leaders, one of the most successful leaders, full stop. Retailing is a tough sector, subject to massive disruption from new entrants like Amazon and quick to feel any economic wobbles. But under Page's leadership, Harvey Norman has way outperformed the market, and the business has gone from strength to strength. In addition to this, she's taken on roles in sports administration like the NRL board and created the hugely successful Magic Millions, a racing and thoroughbred sales event on the Gold Coast each January. Now, in all of this, she's never played the gender card. She's just got on with the job, done it exceedingly well, and more than held her own in a male-dominated field. Along with the company's co-founder and chairman, and Page's husband too, Gerry Harvey, they have both been outspoken about the epidemic of politically correct box ticking now required of public companies. So enter the activists. An outfit called Ownership Matters, it's what's now called a proxy firm, is trying to remove Katy Page from the Harvey Norman board and replace her with shareholder activist Stephen Mayne at the company's AGM later this month. These proxy firms are a nasty new pest wreaking havoc on business. Gerry Harvey has called them a sore on corporate Australia. They invite shareholders, small and large, to assign to them their proxy votes. And with the process, they then try to turn public company AGMs, depending on whether it's, say, Rio Tinto, the Commonwealth Bank or Qantas, into town hall debates about climate change, gender equality or bringing boat people to Australia. Proxy firms mobilising activist shareholders and often working with the union-controlled industry super funds are driving divestment in coal mines and demanding corporate backing for culture war fines. It's the reason why AGMs are less and less about new products coming to market or the performance of key personnel and proper scrutiny of the company balance sheet, and more about political and social issues, with risk-averse, politically naive CEOs constantly trying to accommodate people whose agenda is radical social change and not the success of the business. Katy Page, of course, is not one of those bland, boring, gutless business-type bureaucrats. She's a tough, self-confident fighter who's more than capable of giving better than she gets. Today, Page said, and I quote, "Let me get this straight. Ownership Matters want to replace a woman with tons of retail experience with a bloke that has none of that and who is running on an agenda of greater board diversity." Go figure. I'll surely have more to say about all of this with my guest Janet Albrechtsen, who's described this stunt as a woke joke. But while this particular move is so over the top and so self-evidently ludicrous that it's bound to fail, don't underestimate what's going on here. These shareholder activists are not trying to improve the business. They're trying to change society by manipulating business, and are the latest illustration of just how far the left's long march through the institutions has now come. There's no easy answer to any of this. Prime Minister Morrison has spoken about new laws to protect the public from harassment by activists, disrupting everyone's lives in the name of protesting against certain businesses. But beyond a speech a few weeks ago, we're yet to see any detail or even a timeline for action. And as we've just seen with foreign interference laws, taking action here must be carefully thought through and carefully implemented, as new laws can easily be used by activist public servants against the wrong targets. What's really needed, and this can happen today without waiting for new laws, is the vigorous enforcement of existing laws, from the level of the police right through and in particular to the bench. But more than that, Australians, as they did back in May, need to take back their country from the activists and the professional agitators who are determined to remake Australia in their own hard left image. Other business leaders might be weak, and we've seen them roll over, haven't we, in the face of a pointed campaign. Not so, I predict, Katy Page. I admire her enormously. She's smart as a whip, and as a country girl like me, she calls a spade a shovel. I don't think these activists have any idea just the sort of leader they've picked for a fight this time. Gerry Harvey is always keen to make a buck. Maybe he should sell tickets to this AGM. I, for one, would happily pay good money to see Katy Page send the radical left packing, as undoubtedly she will.